right, we have threes, we got twos, we got ones. It's 8:14. We back in the building. Say something, fam. Excited to see y'all. Me and Mitch in here, ready to get to some good old sports talk as always. Hope you guys have been doing well since we've been apart. We do have traditions, so we like to stick to our traditions. Please take some time, with the current climate of the world. Look to your right, look to your left, check in with somebody. If nobody is there, pick up that phone. You never know when that text might just be of service. So, Mitch, how are you doing? Let the people know.
Everything's been good. I've been continuing to do this coaching. Actually about to take the team to Vegas for a tournament out there against Bishop Gorman and some other solid teams. So excited to see what the boys can put together. But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to, especially talking about these sports. This NCAA tournament has been wild, so I'm ready to go. How about you?
Man, I'm pretty good. I just had spring break. I still was doing some of the miscellaneous work here and there, and I've had to maintain focus on this research project as we etch towards good old May, my birthday month, where that assignment will be due.
Yeah.
But I do feel like this week, to be honest, I've made some real headway, which is exciting. I felt like I was kind of floundering for a little bit there. Research, again, guys, not my MO, not something I plan to do professionally.
Very tedious.
Good Lord. But still learning from it. And, it's never really a terrible thing to do something you don't want to do in terms of the lesson you can learn from it.
Yeah.
And how you can roll that over elsewhere. So keeping that in mind, or trying my best to. But I'm excited to be here tonight, and I feel like it's a perfect way to kind of segue into going back to school for me this next week, is being able to, be on a show that we all love to be on and talk some sports that we all love watching. So let's hop right into it without further ado. As always, though, I do want to give a shout out to the check-in. I appreciate you for checking in and for checking in on me. Always is
and making sure we always checking up on our boy Reek in the bag. We see you, boy.
Reek, salute, always. Yes, sir. You never know, like we said, man. Just putting out a hand, it's helpful. NBA, Warriors, clinched the 10th spot.
Big news, baby. Big news.
Whoop-dee-dooski.
Make sure you put the pew, pew, pew in the background on that one, Reek.
Right. While our faces stay stale and non-excited. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Right?
It is what it is.
This is by default because of how bad other teams behind us are.
Which is crazy.
1,000%.
Crazy.
1,000% this is the reason.
Bro, we're 36 and 38, and we start Pods and Gary Payton the second.
All day. All day. And to be fair to Pods, I do feel like some of these guys, I'm enjoying watching them a little more in terms of you can see, I think, weirdly, the impact of all our vets, right? And just the aura, if you will, of being on that team. It's
one of the young words, huh?
Aura. For my young life, be Pod, man. But no, I mean, I think that it's one of those things where it's they all are playing a little bit freer. I think they're able to learn from this, which I don't necessarily overlap with other years where I've seen injuries come up and the team just looks awful. No effort. You're just bro, I don't think anybody's improving here. I don't feel that way with this, which is a positive. However, everything at this point seems to be geared towards next season, which if that's the case, then it's we gotta hope that the last couple guys that we've kept around are gonna take a step forward. Now, obviously, with the Moses Moody news, prayers up. My goodness,
hate to see it.
I don't even know if did we highlight that on the last show, or did that happen in between?
No, it didn't happen. It happened in between. It just happened 3 days ago.
Why don't you just take that before I take on the rest?
So we were playing one of these teams that were weaker than us, the Dallas Mavericks, and Moses Moody picks Cooper Flag, going down court, going up for a dunk, nobody around, and just totally yard sale, lets everything go, and just grabs his knee. Totally done. You hate it. Anytime you see a non-contact injury, you know it's bad. And my boy is donezo for now.
And it looked nasty.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully even back for next season. You don't know. Anytime you have knee trouble like that, could be up in the air in terms of when you're able to get back fully. And we've seen that with even how Clay has been able to come back in his career. It's really hard to come back. I know that's Achilles different, but just one of those injuries that are kind of devastating.
Scary.
So shouts out to Moody. Hope you for a speedy recovery, man.
Yeah. And it's just sad with one of those guys that you feel like never talked. He just played.
Never talked.
It's like, come on.
I still feel like he hadn't like fully hit that next level of his play. Like he was
having a career year here right now, which was like, man, if he could have had this year wrap up,
that's what I'm saying.
Go into next year, I really felt like he was, like you said, he was starting to kind of finally find his role within the offense.
I feel like he could have been like, just because I'm right here looking at his bobblehead, but he could have been like a Harrison Barnes on a championship team.
Absolutely.
Like, bro, you know you're going to give us energy. It may not happen every night, but like you're consistent enough.
And you can guard.
Yeah, it's a tough loss right
Seemed like all the guys liked him too. It seemed like everybody was truly devastated. Sometimes you see Warriors injuries, the guys are like, That one, it seemed like everybody was truly like, we just cannot catch a break.
Right, yeah. It's happening to everybody on our team that we absolutely need.
Devastating. So we gotta hope, that we get some good luck in terms of injuries going into next year. Mm-hmm. Quick question for you: with the fact that we've taken the 10th seed, all the talk is that anytime you have Steph Curry, you got a shot. What do you feel in terms of like, would you, if you are the coach or the GM, whichever one you prefer has more power in your mind, are you playing him? Is he coming back at all?
I think if he says he wants to play, then for sure play him. Never can knock having that good experience. I mean, I know obviously he's done it plenty of times enough, but if it's like, hey, even if I'm not going to play 100%, having me out there helps us.
Good.
So it's just like, hey, let me just get my feet under me and then kind of get the ball rolling early now. I get some time with Porzingis. I get some more time with the guys around me. And let that transition into next season so you don't have to restart everything once the new offseason comes around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any different opinion. I feel like he's earned that. Like, whatever he says goes. We roll with it.
But to your point, though, it's like it's tough seeing these guys and how they're going to moving on to next year. Right. But it's also tough because it's like to think about waiting for next year, we can't even be guaranteed that, like, Steph, Draymond, and Porzingis, like, the guys we need to be better will be better. It's like, they're like 38, 39. Like, this isn't still prime time. So just the timelines right now, it's like it's really, really tough. And, I know these GMs have a tough time with these decisions. It's not easy with the salary caps and everything that they got. But it's just tough that was the main goal of, like, what our front office wanted was to make a smooth transition and have youth and old heads work together, and then just kind of, because of injuries or because of punching Jordan Poole or just, just so many things happen, quote unquote, not making the right picks per se, like 2020 hindsight with that, obviously, but like there's just picks out there that, hey, what if we had LaMelo or, some of these other guys?
Or a year later, we just had Evan Mobley.
Right, but what if?
Instead of Wiseman.
Right, so it's tough, but man, it's never a good thing right now with Steph and then Draymond at their ages to be like, we'll see what's going to happen next year. Because if next year something happens early, it's like, are we still going to be waiting again for the next year?
No.
So, it's really tough. Yeah, it's really tough with that.
Yeah, I mean, that brings, kind of me into a perfect point where I feel like now at this point we are looking at a 1 year window. And if you maximize that 1 year window, maybe the adrenaline and everything rolls you into a 2 year quick saga. But I think we're looking at truly 1 year. I think it matches a lot of their contracts. And I think this Jimmy Butler injury really was like the last true monkey wrench of like, oh, we're going to lose you for a year, like an ACL, not like something that we can kind of recoup from. Mm-hmm. I think that, it feels like we are one injury away from calling it every year now. And I think that's just the reality that we all as Warriors fans have to sit with unless something crazy happens next offseason. But I think the reality, even with that, is that I don't see us getting significantly younger. Mm-hmm. I see, if anything, even if we add a big piece this summer, I think it's going to be another vet and somebody who's truly on the timeline of them. And like a lot of the people that are going to be available are going to be early 30, mid 30 guys, early, And I feel like that's where we're going to go with it. And so, sure, it might ramp up our chances for a year and maybe a year after that. But again, those are max timelines, right?
What a wild roster right now, too.
Wild,
like, just like Steph, Draymond, Jimmy. Like, that'll be wild to see next year, all of them.
And what's sad is it's like, and I feel like this happens pretty often, right? But I feel like there's so many what ifs with the Warriors. Like the way this roster has actually ended up turning out, it's like I would love to see them have a shot at the playoffs with Jimmy and Steph healthy. What the hell? Like, this is crazy. Like adding Guy Santos into the role that he now could play for us. You add him playing next to Kristaps. Al can just come in sporadically, right? Melton has been playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
Pods has improved even. Moody was playing great until we lost his whole entire knee.
And when you have all those starters, you only need them to do actually what you want from them, play their role. Like,
come on.
Asking them to just be number one starters out there and do something is tough. But when it's like, hey, we got that covered, just come in and give us that energy. That's what Jordan Poole and all those guys were doing back in the
day. 100%. And with the spacing Steph brings, and then now you add Kristaps, who's going for 30 without him and shooting from anywhere, right? So that's just sad because I feel like there's been a couple times with the Warriors where it's just a timing thing where you're just like, sure, they didn't look great in the beginning of the year, and even throughout it, it felt like a lot of the moves were you could put fault to them, right? But once you see this roster and you think about the smart players that we don't have right now, like the high IQ guys, it's just like, man, like these pieces look way more dangerous if you think about it in a playoff setting, right? A 7-game series, assuming they're all healthy. That brings us to our next point. Kristaps recently has come out and it really stemmed from a discussion about our, what do we call this? Strength and conditioning team, I guess it is. I don't even know if maybe it's our kinesiology team. I'm not sure what they call themselves, but it's really
science biology guys.
Our recovery team, right? It's that's the main folks that he's narrowing in on, and specifically, is his name Martin Celebrini, the father of
Macklin,
the boy. He basically said, this guy is amazing. He's basically the GOAT of this stuff, which we had talked about, and we have said, like, he's done a lot of work. He had Otto Porter career year. I mean, he's literally brought some people
back to life.
Back to life. And it seems like Kristaps is no different with the way he's speaking about this. The amount of games he was able to play for Atlanta comparatively to what he's already played for us, right? Seems to have a different level of trust in our organization as well. Seems to really be excited of the options of playing with who we have, next year when healthy. So he has said through that conversation that he is very interested in re-signing with the Warriors. And he obviously knows what that would entail, which we don't have endless amounts of money. We don't have like a huge contract we can go ahead and throw out there. And so this was the kind of thing that we kind of needed to see at some point heading into the offseason to feel like, maybe we would be adding him in. Because otherwise, the two options that I foresaw or heard a lot was that either there'd be a team that felt like they could fall in love with him, right? And would give him he's not getting a big deal anymore. No. And because of all these injuries, he diminished his value in a lot of ways.
And the diagnosis of it.
Right, which was great for us, right? But I think what they were saying is that either a team would fall in love with him and give him like a 2-year overpay just to get him in the building, or he might be dealing with vet minimums. And it really will depend on how the rest of free agency shakes up. These other teams end up with all 7-footers, and now it's just right. And with that being said, I feel great that we may have had a shot anyway, right? So this isn't just some total, I'm just gonna go in on some willy-nilly taking a huge pay cut when I shouldn't be kind of thing. This is like a borderline, I'm there and career decision of and I do mess with y'all.
Well, I also feel like this is when the Warriors call up Iguodala and be like, hey, all the investments you're making, let's talk to Kristaps and see how we can get him some extra money out here and get him back on a minimum deal and kind of do what we did with you, Andre.
Right. 100%. You're not wrong at all. And, how do you feel about that was the question that I was going to preface to you.
Well, just I know he's a veteran now. He's well-aged, obviously gone through injuries and whatnot. But at this point in time, you need 7-footers with the
so nice
Chets, the Wembies,
so nice to see.
All these tall guys on these other teams that are actually competing. we need somebody like that. I mean, he's already contributed so much in the defensive side with so many blocks. So I think he's a valuable asset for us if he can be healthy. I think that's always been his issue throughout his whole career. He's always been somebody who can give you 25 and 12 or something like that with some blocks each game. But it just came down to whether he could do it for a long stretch. So if he can revitalize his career, like you're saying, with Celebrini and get back to it, I think that's only just a plus for us to have somebody like that, especially if he comes in on a discount.
Right.
So I see it as a good thing. I still hope he can help Quinn Post get a little bit better down there. Yeah. So I see it as a positive, especially if he can come in low and Jimmy and Draymond, maybe we can restructure some contracts so that we can get that extra player that we might need that potentially could hopefully be 28 to 30-year-old range.
Right.
Somebody we can help, bridge with the other guys that we have. And maybe be more of like a 1B or one, right behind all our superstars.
Right. A little Trey Murphy action or something like
that. That's exactly what I'm thinking. It's like somebody in there that's just, we can plug you in and see it's seamless.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I mean, I think I said it a couple shows ago. I feel like they're not going to let Kristaps out the building. I think just because of how much his profile is something that Steve Kerr is in love with, right? And I think that you've said it perfectly with, like, we just haven't even seen a 7-footer out there for so long. It feels weird to see one, like to see shots being altered with somebody wearing our jersey. It's like, whoa, okay, that is a part of basketball. Yeah. And just the way he spaces the floor, I feel like he's a rare talent, right? We know that. His injuries have always made it to where
he was the unicorn at one point.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just think that I want to give a little props to Dunleavy. I don't think he's the most phenomenal GM. I do still think he's on the hot seat. But the more I read into the way the Kuminga thing went down and kind of what was on the table, it feels like it was a pretty important shift to make this, knowing we were like everything was frayed with Kuminga. It was done. We weren't going to get any PT out of him. And I think the other deal they were taking seriously would have got us like Malik Monk or Devin Carter from the Kings. And
Stop it.
And it's like,
I'm not even trying to hear anything involved with the Kings.
Disgusting. And
sorry, Eric.
Right, no, for real. But he knows that too. Like, we don't want that. But like, so when I look at it in that way, I really do think that we pivoted in a way that more time was only going to make that asset worse. We were only going to bench him. And to take a risk on a guy who has this kind of skill set within an offense like ours, I think shows foresight in terms of just understanding that offense at a greater depth, watching it every day, kind of knowing how the clock could tick if different things moved a little differently. And so I just want to say, like, again, injuries are injuries. I'm praying that that's just something that we can control in some way, shape, or form. But in terms of fit, I do think it'd be hard for us to pick up a talent like that, right? In any other way. And we may have stumbled into what I would look at as a lifeline.
Yeah.
In terms of course, everything aligns with him staying healthy. But I don't know how within this timeline of Steph Curry we would be able to provide a piece like this that maybe in turn, best case scenario, turns into a guy that just wants to stick around until Steph and them are done.
Yeah.
And will take whatever it takes to be there. Man, that seems to be a blessing. Seems to be a blessing. So I'm all for it. Let's hope that he takes, obviously he knows he'll have to take a reasonable amount.
Right.
And let's hope, like you said, let's make some calls, right? Let's get Steph down here. Let's get some of the guys down here. They got tons of businesses. Loop somebody in. If there's anybody who should give a business number to, it's Draymond Green.
Right.
Right? So
hook it up.
Let's be honest, Dre. We love you to death. Them 7 points, give a couple of them up. You know what I mean? We love the way you play defense, but for that offense, you got to give up 1 or 2 businesses to my boy.
Come on,
You've already seen him go for 32 times this year, maybe more. Give it up. Give it up. NBA standings real quick. We'll take a quick look before we move on from the NBA. I do think some teams have either clinched or clinched on the other side of not being able to get into the playoffs.
OKC and San Antonio.
No surprises there.
Both clinched the division.
No surprises there.
Then we had Detroit on the east side. They were able to clinch a playoff berth, the first of the East Coast boys.
Pretty beastly.
to be clinching. But the Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown been looking like an MVP.
Balling.
Jason Tatum coming back, so that's going to be interesting to see how they make a push in the playoffs and see if that knocks off a young and up and coming Detroit team that will have their first real push. And hopefully, Cade. Is there any news? What's up with him?
Right. I hope that they're holding him until the playoffs. Is what it kind of seems like. That they're hovering around. It feels like the Thunder have kind of done the same thing with Shea. Like he's come back a bit lately, but feels like they both recognize where they were at in the standings. A lot of these other teams are point blank period atrocious, like we talked about earlier. Like a lot of these in the East and the West, teams by default just already set the playoffs. It's like teams aren't even technically like clinched yet, and it's like, nah, you are. Like there's still gonna be some swapping, but like no. The 10 are set on both sides.
Yeah, so it looks like they're hoping he can come back and make the playoffs.
That's what I was saying.
But big game from Jalen Duren, 30-point double. That's a dude who, he's a beast down there.
Man child.
So Detroit on the east side looks to be the contender along with Boston.
They got the Thompson twin too.
Got the Thompson
locking
twin.
Everything up.
Man, killing it. And then on the west side, we got to see who can take down. Who's going to be the big winner between the Spurs and the Thunder?
Right.
Wemby talking big talk over there, saying, "Hey, we got the series against them so far, so they should be more worried about us than we are about them." Especially when they got Stephon Castle going for 20 points, 10 rebounds, going 10 assists, triple doubles all day.
They don't even need De'Aaron to
right. De'Aaron is just an extra.
Chilling.
He's just, I'll do whatever. I'm around. Call me if you need me.
Bro. And can any of those other like dark horses kind of sneak in?
Whew. I mean, all these other teams seem pretty lackluster compared to those two.
Who would you pick then? If you're going to pick somebody to come and break this party up on both sides, where we got, I would say it's similar on both sides, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you give me?
I would say, again, it comes down to the top two, I think, in the East, where it comes down to the Pistons and the Celtics. But it's like the versus, the team with experience versus the team who's young and inexperienced. Who's going to win out of those two? The rest of the teams, New York Knicks, Cleveland Cavaliers, Toronto Raptors, Hawks. I mean, we don't even need to talk about the playing teams because all these other teams that I'm naming, I feel like are all like just more regular season teams rather than like teams that are going to go over the top. I would say the New York Knicks, you got to give a little bit of respect to because it's just Jalen Brunson.
A little bit.
It's just he can do anything at any time. It's just if it's going to outlast these other teams.
So that would be your dark horse?
That would be my dark horse out of any of the teams because the rest I'm like, I mean, Cavs go as far as D. Mitch goes and how often our teams winning with one primary guy rather than utilizing that whole entire team. Just he kind of just uses them as sidekick. It's just like the Mitchettes. You guys are here too, but it's only if I pass it to you, you know.
Right.
Otherwise, it's on me. The Raptors, I mean, they're too inconsistent. They're got a bunch of middling guys on their team. Hawks still up and coming, not really doing nothing. Philly, Maxey is really the only guy. DJ Edgecomb's cool, but he's young and inexperienced. And then Joel is just kind of like, what are we going to get tonight?
When he's there, he's going crazy, but he's rarely there.
And then the Heat, Magic, and Hornets is kind of like you guys are still a couple pieces away, if not even more than that, just because the rest of the East is so whack. But I'll let you take care of the West and who you think's going to come out the West.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, like you said, you've already, I think, dressed up OKC and San Antonio perfectly. Those two are the cream of the crop, right? And both are like staggeringly young. So it's terrifying.
And then compared to the rest of these teams that are like,
everybody else,
our best players are. I mean, besides Ant on Minnesota
and
like
Houston, I'd say,
all our players. But even like with KD, it's like, but we like Sengun and the other boys. But it's like if they didn't have KD, would they still be
probably not
a team we're thinking of real contenders, or just another team that's solid and young?
Right. To be fair, I do think that them missing Fred VanVleet this year,
for sure,
was crazy. Like
no
that
point guard the whole season.
They thought they were going to do that. Yeah,
Reed Shepherd was their only option at point guard. That's
terrible. And so, looking at this, I mean, for me, the true dark horse has got to be Denver, right? And I just think that's because Jokic to me is just not. There's nobody on either of those teams still that really it's like, oh, this is a great matchup, right? Like Wemby is your best shot, and Wemby to me is like one of these guys where he still struggles with foul trouble, and so like they would be very nervous playing against a Jokic-led team just because of how skilled he is down there and how much he'll make him have to battle with foul trouble.
For sure.
And to me, San Antonio and OKC, but more San Antonio than OKC, if you cut the head of the snake off, you got a whole different beast you're dealing with. You know what I mean? And I think that is a wounded animal that could easily be tossed to the side if you were to even remove Wemby from 2 of those games, right?
Yeah.
Like if he even gets foul trouble in 2 of those games. And so that scares me. I think OKC can do without SGA like we've seen. They can do without Williams like we've seen. My question with them is more on the scoring side, right? Defensively, they're phenomenal. But like if and when, which is very unlikely, that Shea is not able to have his way, right? It's like we haven't seen enough of Williams this year to know, okay, you're just going to guaranteed be ready. And honestly, I don't look at him as more than like a 23 a game kind of guy anyway. So we're not talking a guy that's like hecka often putting up 30s and 40s or whatever.
Right.
I just worry about that offense against a defense that could be really, really locked down like Minnesota, right? Like I think if Minnesota – so those would be my 2 answers in my 2 best matchups as opposed to just one dark horse. I think San Antonio's dark horse is the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets could be the dark horse to either of those teams because of Jokic. But if I were to do it matchup based, I would say Minnesota Timberwolves are kind of what you would say is the kryptonite to the Thunder in terms of a team that they have the right guys to make it really hard on OKC. And OKC, for as strong of a bench as they have, I don't see a lot of those guys having moments where you go, oh,
Jared McCain?
They got him over the hump. But I do love Jared McCain. I do love Jared McCain, and I do think Philadelphia should be slapped for that. I think, honestly, that was a terrible move. That trade, I think, is going to come back to bite everybody in the butt that you just gave him up for the F. And I think also you got to look at teams like the Kings who are trash for not going, why don't you guys go get that guy? Like, why let the Thunder get better? You have tons of weak picks to throw out there. And he's from Sac, supposedly. Go grab him. But yeah, you're right. Jared McCain is a guy that I actually don't think of often because they're still not even playing him that much, which is scary. But yeah, he actually is a guy that I think in the playoffs especially could be capable of like,
here, let me give you 12 real quick in 2 minutes. Just hella randomly.
Like the Anthony Simons of their team, basically. So yeah, you're right. I haven't thought about him a lot, and that might change things, but those would be my 2 direct matchups.
Yeah, I mean the Spurs, they're 7th, 8th seed if they don't have Wemby. As a player. So it's like that.
Sure.
That's like the ultimate X factor in any of the matchups, I feel like, for them. Especially when they play the Thunder. It's just when Shea just doesn't have like, oh, I know I can just get to the middle and throw it up and is not a 7'5" guy there.
Right.
It's way more likely that he goes. I mean, you see it in their matchups. Like that's usually what ends up happening is that all the time they just go to the hole and like, nope. And then they just pass it back out.
Right.
And they rely on the shooting. So I think that's the biggest reason why I think the Spurs are even in the position they are in and their ability to have him I just stand in the middle and you guys move around me. I mean, I think he's going to be the reason if they go far, like he's going to be playing above and beyond and be able to hopefully stay away from Jokic and not have to deal with that, get into that foul trouble that you're talking
100%.
about.
100%. Or like an injury. That's one of those things I worry about when he plays against Jokic for, 2 weeks straight or whatever it is, a week and a half straight at just guarding Jokic. I'm like,
getting bodied.
We got to be icing those, those legs, everything. But anyway, that's for the NBA. You guys put down in the comments if you feel like we're overlooking something in terms of the playoff outlook. Or what team you feel like are the favorites this year if we were again overlooking some of those teams. So drop those in the comments. We'll always be paying attention and we appreciate the interaction. Moving on to NCAA basketball, but of course staying in the realm of putting a ball into a hoop, we're going to talk about a little bit of March Madness. It is going on. It is going down. Do you want to talk a little bit, just like we did last time, about some of the things that have happened since you broke it down last show?
Yeah, I guess I can actually go over some of the women's, and you can go over the men's.
Sounds good.
Right now, obviously, we got all the way down to the Elite Eight. Duke had a big game against LSU. Last minute 3-pointer or last minute bucket to put them over the top to take out the number 2 seed. It's going to be UCLA and Duke in the Elite Eight for that one. 1 versus 3 seed.
Blue
and then on the other side, we got, usual suspects, UConn looking to become the champions again. It's been a minute.
Undefeated, right?
Are they still undefeated? Yeah. Right. I mean, if they're still in it right now and they're done. Yep. 37-0. So looking like one of the classic teams from UConn, going to be tough to beat. Last game they played, they beat North Carolina 63-42. So it's looking tough for teams out there.
I remember that, yeah.
Game before that, they played Syracuse, and it was 98-45.
And they were like
happy. First round game, it was 90-52.
Ooh.
So UConn is running it up, but Notre Dame is coming through, having beat 3 seed Ohio State and 2 seed Vanderbilt to make it to the Elite Eight to play against UConn. You know what, girls? Good luck. It's going to be a tough one for you. On the other side, we have South Carolina. Dawn Staley and the girls doing their thing. TCU, nice team coming in there, 3 seed. That's going to be on one side. And then the last matchup, we have number 1 Texas against number 2 Michigan. Yep. 2 teams that have been on the top of their game the whole entire season. And I think those are going to be some great matchups. I think I got South Carolina and Texas coming out to go to the Final Four. Mm-hmm. And then on the other side, I got to go with UCLA and UConn. So I'm excited to see them. Hopefully those teams are going to win it for me, and it's going to be an exciting Final Four.
Absolutely. So I'm going to take it from the Sweet 16 and push forward on. We had, and some of these, again, Derek might have gone over, but I just want to give us the build-up and the picture heading into what will be an awesome Final Four. But starting in the East, we had Duke taking on TCU, and they went ahead and gave a little spanking 81-58 to that. We had St. John's playing against Kansas, so that was a 5 versus a 4. And we had St. John's making the upset, 67-65. Darren Peterson, get ready for the NBA draft, buddy. Mm-hmm. Your college career is done. On to Louisville versus Michigan State. That is a 3 versus 6. We had Michigan State taking it 77-69. Louisville was without their best player, Mikael Brown, who will be a lottery pick next year. That is unfortunate. Also, I just wanted to say the Duke game was 1 versus a 9. I know I missed the seeding on that section. And then lastly, in the East, we had UCLA taking on UConn, very similar to what some of those stat lines and scores that were going on in the women's game. We had them beating UCLA 73-57, so a pretty good stomping. And that wraps up the East for that section, because I'm going to double back once we get to the next round. Going over into the West, we had Arizona beating Utah State very, very handily, 78-66. And we had that is a 1 seed versus a 9 as well. Then we had number 12, High Point, taking on Arkansas. Arkansas with my boy Darius Acuff going off, ending the Cinderella story that was High Point. But, boy, it was a high-scoring game, 94-88. We next have Texas versus Gonzaga. That's 11 versus 3. Another Cinderella story, even though Texas is a pretty big team, and they also have Sean Miller, who's a really, really good college basketball coach. But they went ahead and smacked up Gonzaga real quick.
Fake.
74-68, got them out of there. And so the Cinderella story continues for them. Next and last in the, the West? Yeah, last in the West, we had Miami taking on Purdue. Purdue went ahead and took it by 10 points, even though Miami was a very, very strong team this year, but not good enough when it came down to March Madness. So 79-69. And that moves us into the South, where we had Florida taking on Iowa. And, boy, that was a great game and quite the upset, sadly, we had the youngins going down 73-72. Next, we had Vanderbilt versus Nebraska. Nebraska beat them 74-72. That's a 4 seed versus a 5 seed. Very close game again. and the coach's son was out there going to work that game. Hoiberg's son. Then we have VCU versus Illinois, a 3 versus an 11. That is a blowout, 76-55. And then we have 10, Texas A&M getting absolutely slaughtered by number 2 Houston, 88-57. And then moving into the Midwest, we have Michigan, numero uno, taking on the number 9 St. Louis with your boy with all the nicknames, with the glasses. But, he got smacked up 95-72. We had Texas Tech, the 5, going out to the 4, Alabama, 90-65. They were missing JT Toppin, who, if he hadn't been injured, was probably going to be up for National Player of the Year. You had 6, Tennessee beating number 3, Virginia, who I think was
likely story.
Yeah.
See that every year.
Exactly. Tough seeding there for Virginia. Tennessee moves forward. And then lastly, we had Kentucky, the 7, getting absolutely destroyed by Iowa State, the 2, 82-63. And now I'm just going to speed through these for the sake of the rest of these. In the East, we had the youngins, Duke, or excuse me, because I skipped this other matchup, but we had Duke taking out St. John's, which was a pretty good game, actually. A 1 versus a 5. I feel like Duke just played pretty bad, though, and then at the end just kind of turned it around. We had Michigan State taking on UConn, which was a 2 versus a 3, very close, 67-63. UConn taking that, so it'll be Duke versus UConn for the Final Four on that side. And then we have
Schreier versus Hurley.
Yeah.
Big coaching game.
Then we got on this side, we had why is this game already done? Oh, that game is happening tomorrow. Right. So that will be their final, or no, that'll be their Elite 8 game. They have not advanced yet, so I apologize. They're not going. But over here on the West, where we have had teams advance, we had Arizona taking on Arkansas, where they beat them handily by 21. That's a 1 versus a 4. Darius Acuff, go ahead and get ready for that draft. And then we had Purdue barely squeaking by Texas, a 2 versus an 11. That Cinderella story was looking like it was meant to be, just fell short.
Almost ruined my bracket.
Right? And then that led to an Arizona-Purdue matchup that just happened today. And Arizona, although they went down in the first half, came back very strong in the second half and took that 79-64. So Arizona is going on to the Final Four, and they are awaiting the winner of tomorrow's game between Duke and UConn. And on the south side, bring it on back, we had Iowa taking on Nebraska, where they got that good old W, another upset, the 9 over the 4. So Iowa moving on. And then we had Illinois going ahead and beating number 2 Houston. Pretty good upset there. But 3 versus 2. So lots of defense. And so it will be Illinois taking on Iowa, which happened today. And that was Illinois taking it 71-59, ending the 9 seeds, kind of Cinderella-esque run.
For sure.
And so that'll be Illinois waiting on the winner of this next bracket, which is the Midwest, where we had Michigan taking out Alabama handily, 90-77. That's a 1 and a 4. And then we had Tennessee taking out Iowa State in a pretty big upset, a 6 versus a 2, which leaves tomorrow's game, number 1 Michigan versus number 6 Tennessee, which will decide who's meeting Illinois in their Final Four matchup. Who do you think out of the 2 teams that are left, the 4 teams that are left playing, who are you picking to advance out of those 2 games?
So in my bracket, I still have Michigan going to play against Arizona, and I have Duke. I had the Duke playing against, I think, Florida maybe in that one, but Duke against Illinois, and I have Duke and Arizona going at it in the championship with Arizona coming out on top.
There we go. You heard it here first. Let us know if you have any quarrels with that or if your brackets look a lot different. We love to hear it. The brackets this year were a disaster across the board. So we'd love to hear who you guys have. I personally, of course, I can't go against Michigan, even though Tennessee seems very strong, but I've always looked at Michigan as maybe the one of ones in these seeds. It was always them or Arizona. And then I have, I guess I'll go Duke. I mean, these are boring answers, right? But I don't necessarily, I'm not like in love with UConn, like their team this year. And, Duke with the Boozers, those guys seem to figure it out when it matters most.
Yeah, I think somebody was talking about it before where it's just like they won 4 straight championships in high school.
Yeah.
The like AAU tournaments or whatever, and they won all those.
Yeah.
Like they just have won everything
everywhere
they went. So it's kind of Cooper Flaggish, but even I feel like even on a higher standard where it's just
For
like
sure.
we do this, and it seems like after that seeing a close call first round that they were just like, all right,
wake up,
let's do this.
Absolutely. So again, let us know if you feel like there's any important names that we're missing out that we didn't shout out, like great players that have had runs, or any teams that you feel like should have been shouted out more. Go ahead and put that down there. But we're going to move on, and we're going to move on to the MLB real fast. The season has begun. It's not a lot yet other than the season beginning, but we want to give Mitch a little time to shout out kind of if there has been anything or just in general that the season has begun.
I mean, it's cool. Mike Trout already has 2 home runs in his first couple games this season. The Angels are looking pretty solid right now, which is just funny to say. Shocking. Even though they just lost to the Astros in the last game, they were 2-0 to start out. Other than that, we have the Giants having a rough series to start off against the Yankees. They scored 1 run this series
with 5
hits. So. Vitello, my guy, tough start, but can only go up from here, right? Can only go up from here. I did see a story that the stadium had a pretty lackluster 9-inning challenge, which is eat 9 hot dogs and drink 9 beers in 9 innings. I guess a guy went in there and he got just 1 24-ounce beer and it didn't even fill all 9 innings of the cup. So come on, Giants. You're better than that. Yeah. We've been to your stadium. You guys got great food, great amenities.
Yeah.
Don't slack now. Keep it up. All right, guys. Other than that, the A's looking very A's-ish again. Today, they were up like 6-2 in the last inning, blew it, and lost the game. I'm pretty sure that's how the first game ended, too. Just the A's being the A's. No pitching at all. I'm loving the hitting. Shea Langoliers hit a grand slam today that put us up 6-2, but our pitching is atrocious. So once we start figuring that out, our exciting lineup can finally start to flourish. But until then, you're going to see the A's scoring runs, but always getting outscored because we cannot pitch a lick.
Right.
But other than that, teams are just starting off. Paul Skenes had a bad outing, but because O'Neal Cruz can't figure out how to play center field, teams are just starting to figure it out. And it's going to be more and more exciting. Dodgers, guess what? They're undefeated. Yeah, what a surprise, right? It's probably going to stay that way for a little while, first couple of series, but they're the team to beat in the MLB. So we got some young guys. Chase DeLauter from the Guardians already has 2 home runs. That's exciting for them. So just stay tuned. J.J. Weatherholt already has a home run and a walk-off in his first couple of games as a pro. What is it? Kevin McGonigal is going off for the Detroit Tigers already. So a lot of great youth in there. It's exciting to see. Unfortunately, Jackson Churio did get hurt right before the season started, so he won't be out there for a little while. He's another young and exciting player, but long, long season, guys. So buckle up. We're going to be here a while.
Right. 100+ games to go. 3 down, 170-something? Lastly, before the show ends today, we're going to jump into soccer for a second. Where we'll look over the U.S. men's selection. Yeah, so I'll look at this real fast and go over it. I actually have not even looked yet. So goalie-wise, if this is correct, it would be probably between Matt Freese and Matt Turner, hilariously.
Damn, he's still...
both have the same name. Matt Turner played today and got absolutely smacked on by Belgium, but who didn't? Mm-hmm. We lost today, for those that didn't know, in a friendly 5-2 after going up 1-0. So that should put it in perspective. Like, we took the lead. Mm-hmm. We looked very dominant in the beginning. I remember taking a phone call at halftime with my homie Mooks, who is a just delusional U.S. soccer fan. Shout out to you, my boy. But and he was just like, man, it felt like we were dominating. Am I tripping? And all I said was that, to me, it's just a clinical issue. Like, it doesn't at this point necessarily have to do with spacing, speed, physicality, athleticism. It really has to do with the fact that we're just still not at that point yet where we truly take chances. You'll see other teams take harder chances and make them look easy, whereas we take easy chances and make them look hard.
And
if
only games were 25 minutes, right?
Exactly. Especially in the beginning, like we tend to really jump out strong, and then it's just the real problem too is we don't have any fight. Like when we get beat, it's very quick on like, wow, we were supposed to get beat. You know.
They scored and we didn't. We're probably about to lose this.
So if I were choosing between him, I would choose Matt Turner. He just has, he's playing in a higher league than Matt Freese right now, and at the end of the day, it's not a great decision either way. But he's just a guy with more experience.
Mm-hmm.
Down here with defenders, we have Max Arfstein.
Max
Arfstein. I think this guy, if I remember correctly, may have gone overseas. I'll have to look him up real fast. Alex Freeman is pretty legit. He's one of these cats that he's playing for Villarreal. He's just not getting a lot of minutes. But I think he's dope. Mark McKenzie as well. I believe he's playing in Belgium.
Your boy Tim Ream.
He's solid. Tim Ream actually is one of these guys who I feel like, it's more of a case of like the U.S. clearly not revolving the door quick enough. But I actually think that he's one of the few guys on defense that I actually have faith in. It's not his speed. It's just his IQ. And he's also just not one of these guys that just like tucks his tail. Like he doesn't go like, oh, we're down. Like I'm just not going to go hard. He still goes hard. Chris Richards plays for Crystal Palace. He's a beast. He could easily crack the starting lineup. Usually it is Chris Richards and Tim Ream as the 1A. Mark McKenzie maybe at some point could say something about that. Then you have Anthony Robinson and Miles Robinson, the brothers. I think they're both actually legit. Anthony Robinson is obviously better. He's on Fulham. But Miles Robinson is no slouch either. So, my ideal starting back four would be Tim Ream, Chris Richards. Then at left back, you have Anthony Robinson and a guy that we haven't named yet. So it would either be Alex Freeman at right back or it's going to be this guy, Joe Scally. And Joe Scally right now plays for Borussia and Gladbach out in Borussia Gladbach out in Germany. I know I'm butchering that name, but he's getting tick out there, and it's in the Bundesliga, right? And so that would be my right back of choice, with the first defender off the bench being Miles Robinson, the brother of Anthony. And then there's also Austin Trusty, who also plays right back. I'm good.
Sometimes.
Sebastian Berhalter is the first midfielder to discuss. He's actually good. I think he is. He's still an MLS boy. But the problem for me with a lot of these midfielders, as you'll see, is way more CDMs than there is attacking midfielders or creative midfielders. But Sebastian Berhalter is a suitable CDM and one of the more offensive CDMs that we have. Johnny Cardozo is a Atletico Madrid midfielder who at one time was on Real Betis. I think he's good too. He's just young. He's like, I think probably 23, maybe 24. Doesn't have a lot of caps under his belt. Be very interesting to see, but he's definitely capable. As well, though, a CDM. Weston McKennie, good. Plays for Juve. Definitely solid. One of the guys with the most caps. The one signature he scored today. A really nice goal. But, again, CDM. We have Aiden Morris. I'm pretty unfamiliar with this guy. Maybe a Columbus Crew guy. I'm not 100% sure. But no need to go over a guy I don't know much of.
Middleborough.
Okay, so that's in the second division championship over in England. We'll see. I haven't seen much of him play. Gio Reyna, obviously, at one point a wonder kid, has kind of fizzled out after that whole debacle with our last coach, Berhalter, and also kind of falling out of Borussia Dortmund system. He now is at, is it Werder Bremen or
he's at Mönchengladbach.
Mönchengladbach as well. Okay. And so he is still in the Bundesliga. He's one of the more attacking midfielders we have. He can also play kind of out wide.
Skill with the foot.
Not super fast, but he's very skilled. I would have liked to see him actually start out wide today and shifted back McKinney to where they had this guy Tanner Tessman playing. But anyway, Christian Roldan is another midfielder who they brought up. He's more attacking, but not attacking enough to be exciting.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy who at one point was on the Seattle Sounders. Not sure where he is now, but he's definitely an MLS guy through and through. You know what you're going to get with him. Tanner Tessman is a guy who I'm more new to me. I'll look him up right now. Let's see, what team are you on? Okay, he's in Liga 1 on Lyon. Okay. That's legit. That explains why he started today. Then, unfortunately, he too is a CDM, and he's a very CDM.
No wonder he's in Italy.
Right, he's very defensive. So we'll see what we can get from him. As I said, Malik Tillman is definitely a center attacking mid. I think he should be starting for us, and I think he started today. He is legitimately behind Christian Pulisic, I think, our best offensive player. He plays for Leverkusen, which is a big club over there in the Bundesliga. And hopefully he'll be our cam. Then you have Brendan Aronson, who also is a cam. Again, we're just missing kind of that center mid attacking presence, but we have cams. But Brendan Aronson, he's off the bench, one of the first off the bench. He plays for Leeds. And he's good, but he's just never been really able to crack our lineup fully. I think had more of a shot at one point as a winger, and I think if he really does want to start, he could potentially at wing, but we'll see. But he is going to be a guy that if we're going to do well this year, he'll have to play key times and come through. Then we have Patrick Agamyang. This dude he's all right. He's really big body. He's like a target 9. He's out of the MLS, I believe.
Derby County.
County. Okay, so he was at one point and then went over there to Derby County, which as well is a championship team, maybe even lower than that, but I think it's got to be championship. He's a guy, a lot of energy. Kind of reminds me of Ricardo Pepi.
Yeah.
Hopefully
we'll get to him.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully he can show up this World Cup and not be so wild. He's not clinical. So that's the one thing I'll say about him. Next, you got Florian Balogun. I think he'll be our starting 9, if you will. Definitely legit. He plays for Monaco. Unfortunately, I don't feel like he's made quite as big of a bang as I would have liked coming over. But I think this World Cup could be his showing out party. He still is very, very young. I believe he's about 22 or 23, maybe a little older, maybe 25. But he's still in the youthful range, not primed out yet. And he definitely is our best shot at having like a world-class creator up top.
For sure.
Then you have Ricardo Pepi, who actually just got a huge deal. I believe PSV, and somebody else is looking to sign him. Fulham.
Oh, okay.
28.5 million move, so he'll be going to the Premier League, which is pretty awesome, pretty big for a U.S. player. He tends to play really well for club, then shows up for us and is like, "You good?" But let's hope again this time around it's an opportunity for a lot of these guys. And I'd say keep your eyes on Pepi and Agamyang in terms of if they can make a name for themselves that's beyond what we're talking about right now. Then you have the starlet, the crown jewel, Christian Pulisic, who obviously we all know is at AC Milan and doing his thing. Absolutely a world-class player when he's on point. He also deals with some injury stuff, but he is our 10. And he looked very frustrated today. There was in the first half he was quite dominant, which was very interesting. Made Belgium look young. Made him look old. But he's one of these guys that it seems to be more in spurts than it is in a 90-minute game. And so let's hope that he can be a true Captain America this time around, and have the stats reflect that. But in terms of caps and stats for the national team, he's by far away our best producer. And then lastly, but not least at all, we have Tim Weah, who also is in Serie A. I believe he is still on Juve, but I could be wrong. Let me double check that. He's back in the Liga 1 at Marseille, so he's over there with the boy Aubameyang and some of the other guys. Super, super talented cat. His dad was a legend, obviously. Really good winger. Again, the word that always comes up with a lot of these guys, they lack clinical nature in that final third. But these guys are high talent. I think this team here, pretty good roster. I think it's kind of who you would want to see, barring a couple maybe, decisions that could have gone either way. But you got to trust this coach. And at the end of the day, if there's not enough talent, there's just not enough talent.
Yeah, and we got, after this 5-2 loss to Belgium, we got Portugal coming up next.
Right.
So see if we can bounce back.
Right.
I don't know if they can take on my boys like that, but
Portugal should be better.
However, they didn't do much against Mexico.
And Mexico's cheeks.
So hopefully, maybe this could be a good kickoff for them. Get a nice little win against Portugal. Go into the World Cup with a little optimism.
Keep Cristiano home. Because they only had 2 shots against Mexico. So let's hope.
Yeah, that was rough.
Let's hope. And then you as well had an academy question to put out there real fast before the end of the show. Just that I think I just heard
from David Beckham talking about when he first came over to the U.S. how the MLS didn't have any academies, and it's like for him it was like, isn't it obvious that's what you need to be good?
Yeah. And
just having gone over and played overseas for baseball and just thinking about other sports, it seems like they're on the same hype in terms of that. For all the other sports, because when I was over there, I was like, isn't it just obvious you guys need to be playing and practicing more often?
Right.
And that seems to be the same thing for David Beckham's thought about US. You guys want to get good, you got to do it from a young age. And so I thought that was just an interesting clash, and you were explaining how it's just soccer is what they do. And here it's like, what we do is baseball, basketball, football,
100%.
And now the soccer is the new thing that's coming.
100%.
Maybe just like you said with how some of the players that might have been soccer guys or just not even a player are now getting able to have opportunities in Europe for other sports.
Yep.
And I guess that's maybe the hope for US is
correct.
Maybe through, you don't get as many baseball or basketball guys and they go and play soccer now.
Right. Yeah. And I think that it's, one, David Beckham was huge, very instrumental in bringing academies over here, right? Like now all MLS teams have some form of an academy.
Yeah.
I think the major difference is that there's just a different outlook on childhood sports over there as well. I think that they are totally fine with the high level competition starting earlier. Whereas I think out here we are uber competitive, but we're also uber sensitive.
Yeah.
Right. And
participation trophies.
100%. And so I think that one of the major things that, you would have to see changing out here is just the idea of these things being able to be attached to school, right? So not just an academy in terms of you got selected once you already played X amount of sports or X amount of games, now you're being selected. It's more of there's tryout periods, and we're constantly taking in waves of kids that we think might be at the level, and there are certain checkpoints that they have to get through to get moved up.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they can potentially find another academy or a different sport, but it's not for them. They're not moving at the pace we need them at, right? And I think that that's just not a thing out here. And so there'd have to be a greater understanding that, you make an IMG academy stretch from kindergarten to where it does now, which is even beyond high school. But I think that the closest thing that we have out here to academies would be like an IMG. Because even the academies we have out here, they're not all encompassing in the same way IMG is, where you go out there, you're living on their campus, you're doing everything IMG says.
We have a facility here.
You're eating their food. Exactly. And they're getting a lot better because they're not having to spend time wasting motion and stuff like that. And then I think the secondary piece beyond all that is the resources, right? I think a lot of resources overseas were allocated towards soccer, football, right? Because like you said, that's their main go-to, and their top tier athletes are coming out of that sport. So they're dumping all their money into that and the women's side, right? Whereas for us, we're spreading it across a multitude of different things, but surely not soccer. Right. And so I think it's a mixture of all those things. And I think David Beckham is right and wrong all at the same time, which is he's right that, yes, that would make a huge difference. And he's wrong to not understand the barriers that have made it to where it's bro, I think anybody
who played, if this was going to be more if we can monetize this better, we'd be putting more into it. But
100%.
Until it's gotten to this point where now we have the Messis of the world that playing for it, it's now we can kind of spend some money on this, and it's not a total loss.
Yeah, I think if we got a LeBron in there to represent the United States, they'd be ready, right? But I think there are also realists, because we do have the toppest of the tiered athletes out here, the highest of the high. that I think they do understand that we don't in soccer. And that they're like, yeah, Christian Pulisic is scratching the surface. That's dope.
Yeah.
But like there are Lamine Yamals out here and stuff.
They're already better than it.
And who's who's been doing it since 15, right? And is now, X amount of caps and has played for Barcelona at 18, right? And won a Euro and all this other stuff. And so, yeah, I think that there's a certain reality check also that like it's been decades, it's been, centuries that they have had this head start on us.
Come on, USA, in my lifetime.
Right. So
give us a Lamine.
We'd have to shift very quickly. And
give
I think
us a Cristiano.
The simplest way to answer it is we would have to start creating schools in hubs like New Jersey, in areas like that, where we know there's high-level soccer already being played. And we'd have to have an understanding in those areas that, bro, if you moved here, you are about that life, bro. You're ready to commit. Why would you live here if you're not ready to commit your child at 5 to this kind of stuff? And then, I think we would have a shot at seeing somebody eventually who used those 10 years, right, to become Lamine Yamal. But without it, it's like we're starting these kids at 10. What would 5 years do for them?
Right.
To get them to 15. So anyway, that's it. If you guys have anything else you'd like to put in the comments that you'd like to see on the next show, and or you have any academy questions or any academy experience or anything to add to that conversation, period, I'd love to hear it. I love soccer. I love chatting about it. I love football, whatever you want to call it. I love it. So anything you guys want to put in the comments that would further that conversation, feel free to. And if there's anything, again, like you said, that you want me to add into that section for the future, I got you. But without further ado, we're going to check out for today. Peace, love, and happiness. We out.